This is Alex from LearnBeachVolleyballFast.com, and this is video analysis part 2, analyzing yourself. If you are somehow watching this video before you watched part 1 of this video series, I can't stop you from doing that, but there's a chance that this is not going to be as valuable for you as if you watched part 1 first. So it's just like learning volleyball. If you skip ahead, sometimes you lose.
All right, so analyzing yourself. Let's talk about that. Because to be able to analyze yourself, there's one prerequisite, which is that you do have footage of yourself, first of all. Fortunately, we today live in a day and age where it's quite easy. Most phones record perfectly fine enough for ourselves to be able to analyze ourselves and our technique and strategies and whatnot. So no need to get fancy here. No need to get anything more than a water bottle on your phone and set the phone up to record while you play. And all of a sudden you have footage to analyze. However, there's this small thing that pretty much everyone goes through. Maybe you have heard yourself speak before. And it's not fun to hear yourself speak in the beginning because you sound different than what you think you would sound. So people go like, I don't want to listen to that. And watching yourself play in the beginning can sort of have the same effect. It's like things don't look the way you thought they would look, and maybe it looks bad and whatnot. And this is interesting because I did a video about some mental stuff, some sports psychology, some basic sports psychology that I believe everyone should go through as fast as possible in their volleyball careers. And it's basically the same thing, because there I talked about changing judgment into curiosity or analysis. So basically what happens is that when we watch ourselves play, we start to judge so much. We judge how it looks, we judge where the ball goes, if it goes in and out, if we win, lose. We judge everything, and that mentally takes up all of our capacity to actually be able to analyze. So what I want to say here is that you need to learn to look at yourself and your own footage in a curious way and actually be able to repeat it over and over and over again and be curious about the details. Cool. So now that that's out of the world, let's look at my video player here. I'm playing this in VLC Media Player. It's a Windows program. I think it also exists for Mac. But VLC is good because we actually have the same settings as in YouTube. We can play videos in slow motion. So if we play here, this is full speed. I can make it slow motion by pushing the minus button. And I can speed it up by pushing the plus button. So actually, with one finger on plus and one on minus, it's very easy for me to go through between reps. You see here, I don't need to spend all the time to watch everything that's what's in between. So that's one useful tool. We also have the rewind 5 seconds. It's almost the same as YouTube, except here we have to push shift and arrows forwards or backwards. My computer is a little bit slow, so it doesn't really want to do it if I'm doing slow motion, but it should be it shouldn't be a problem. But here you see I can watch the same thing over and over again. And I'll show you super quick, because actually in the settings you can choose how many seconds you want it to rewind. So again, my VLC is also in Swedish for some reason, but I go to, let's see, where did I go? Tools, settings, then there is short commands or something like that. Basically the quick buttons you push on the keyboard. And then it's show settings, and you click all. And here we have, where was it? Settings for the short commands. And here we have jumping length, or how much it jumps when you click forward. And here we can choose the second. So we use the very short jump, and I'll change that to 5 seconds, so then it's exactly the same as on YouTube. Cool, so now I can rewatch this over and over again. And now it's then about trying to learn something out of this. So this was me 1.5 years ago. And I was able to spike, but I wasn't able to spike as well as I thought I should be able to. These are not pro spikes. They are they should be harder, they should be whatever, everything better. But I couldn't really understand back then what was wrong. Okay, so I don't necessarily want this video to become a spiking technique video, because we don't have time for that, and we're here to learn how to analyze video. So therefore I'm rather going to explain sort of how I think when I look at these things. Because someone could have told me what I'm doing wrong here, but I didn't necessarily have someone who had the answers to what was wrong with my spiking technique. So I sort of had to do the work myself instead. And let's see. So what I want to do is I can watch this over and over again, and I can look at more and more details. I can look at slow motion, and I can go and compare it with the pros, so that I start to see how far into the spiking movement am I doing similar stuff like the pros, and where do I start doing different things. So before we talked, in the part 1, we talked about common denominators. What are the common things that many pros do? And how many of those am I sort of checking off as well? I want to come to another thing here, which is I want you to always look for root causes. Because here's the thing that happened. Many people back here in these days, when I did the spikes like this, many people could tell me, hey, it's your arm swing. Your arm swing looks wonky. Or maybe it could be like you're hitting the ball in the wrong place. Maybe it's that. Or there you could even have like you're hitting the ball when you're on your way down. You're not hitting it at the top position of your jump. So all of those are right. They are explanations of what I'm doing wrong here. Question is any of them the root cause for why I cannot spike like a pro here? And when we start looking for root causes, all of a sudden things can change a lot. Because I would want to say that the root cause here, as far as I can see today, is how I take up my arms. Let's see if I can pause it there. How I bring up my arms and actually load for the arm swing. That's where I start seeing things that I'm not doing the same way as pros. And that happens on a timeline there. I'm doing something different than many pros do. My elbow is high up here. And many of the best spikers that get the most speed into their arm don't do it like that. So I would want to say that that might be the root cause for why I can't hit the ball at the top of my jump, or get speed into my arm, or have an arm swing that doesn't look wonky and whatnot. So I hope you can see how looking for the common denominators and looking for root causes, when you combine those, they sort of build this meta theory of why things work the way they do. And if you don't understand what I mean, you will understand in the future when I start making technical videos where I really drill down some technique and why I think some things work and some things not. Because the problem I see with most YouTube channels or YouTube videos or whatnot, many coaches in general, is that they just tell you sort of what to do. And sometimes they tell you how to do it. But there's very rarely you actually get to fully understand why it works that way. And at least me, I'm always curious. I always want to know the best ways to do things. The only reason this YouTube channel exists is that I didn't believe in how everybody taught and learned beach volleyball. So I started looking, is there more efficient ways? And I found out there is. So anytime anyone explains some technique to me, I sit down and really try to understand why it is so. So that's what you're gonna see when I unleash the nerd within me and start explaining technical stuff more in the future. And that's why these videos might be longer than many other videos, because I really want to explain and understand what's the underlying reasons here. So back in these days, no one was able to tell me that, hey, your elbow is going up too high, therefore you cannot load properly, therefore you cannot swing. All the feedback was, hey, you're landing with, I got feedback like you're landing with a backwards lean, and all kinds of stuff. But none of them are the root cause. So I hope that makes sense. All right, that's about it for part 2 of this analysis video series. I hope you see that I want you to start spending time thinking about why things work. Because ultimately it will give you a depth of understanding that will help you as a player and as a learner and as a coach if you want to become a coach. One more practical thing about recording and analyzing yourself is to save all your videos that you record. So here I have some of my videos, I have way more on the hard drive, and save the dates of them and write down what you're working on. So for example, here I have serve receive starts to look better, 26th of November 2016. This was a period where I was experimenting a lot with different serve receive techniques and tried to look for answers basically. So I recommend you to save your videos too. It's really fun to go back to them and look at your evolution and progress over time. Cool, that's it for part 2. See you in part 3. There I'm going to talk about more analysis, which is not video, but actually live analysis from players that you know and that are close to where you are physically. There's some fun things to think about there too. As always, like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you want to have more, and join the Facebook group if you want even more and better access to me and be able to ask questions and stuff like that.